Dr. Sharon Michael Chadwell, and with me today is also my seat buddy, Caleb Alexander. Today's hot topics are interesting in that they all line up with one another easily. The first hot topic is the immigration protests. Should we, as Black folks, even be concerned about these protests? Now, quick snapshot, there has been over 200 arrests so far in Los Angeles, and of course we're seeing these protests across the country. But the main piece that we want to talk about is whether or not Black folks should even be concerned about these protests. What do you think?
I've seen it. I've heard arguments on both sides, right? Mm-hmm. So, and I've even argued, when the administration first went after USAID, right? Mm-hmm. Or they first targeted DEI and then USAID. And so they're knocking off different departments one by one. So I would say, you know what? All the people who didn't speak up when they were going after DEI, you saw that they moved on to USAID, and then they moved on to the Department of Education. And they got to keep moving on to different groups. And so pretty soon, if we don't fight for each other, there's not going to be anybody left, right? So that was my initial argument. With this, should we be concerned about it? Or, that's a tough call. It is a tough call because there's a lot of complexity, a lot of nuance to that argument.
Well, the way I'm looking at it is that so far the media has only been focusing on the Hispanics or the Latinos who have been detained and deported. However, we're seeing now where there's been a case of an African American who was detained to be deported. We're seeing the Native American community, they're being targeted as well. So we've always been victims of racial profiling, mm-hmm. and we already know that everybody in ICE is not legal. Mm-hmm. So that's a whole different conversation. But because, again, of the complexities related to racial profiling, how would that impact the Black community as a whole? So my question is, it's not so much about the protests. Yeah, it is about the protests, but even more so, who's next?
Mm-hmm. And then you see the erosion of civil rights. You see the erosion of due process. So should we be concerned? We should always be concerned when we see the erosion of due process, right? Mm-hmm. Because one step often leads to the other. And then also these roundups. So if they come across you and they notice that you have an accent, you have a Jamaican accent or Haitian accent or Nigerian accent or Ghanaian accent, you know what I mean? So yeah, we, in a sense, we should be concerned, you know what I mean? Because they're not just affecting the Latino community, you know what I mean? It's our Haitian brothers and sisters, our Jamaican brothers and sisters, our brothers and sisters from the African continent that are subject to being rounded up as well. So in a sense, perhaps there is some cause for concern.
And again, with this racial profiling, they may say, and again, as I said earlier, there have been Africans who've been deported. Mm-hmm. So you take someone who has a narrow worldview and they say, well, you look African. Mm-hmm. You got to go. Mm-hmm. So we're operating in dangerous times, and we need to watch. And let me just give a word of warning. Of some babies of undocumented families mm-hmm. who are in foster care have been rounded up. Mm. And they're being deported. We're talking about the babies. One is the oldest, 1 year old, right, is being deported. And then a word of warning to parents, especially those with daughters. There's been some concerns and some evidence around the country that white men buying these ice jackets off of Amazon or eBay, wherever they're getting it, or cosplaying, going in and picking up these girls and then trafficking them. So please keep an eye on your kids, especially your girls.
Yeah, and the other thing is just even on a more personal level. You know what I mean? So I know there's a lot of antagonism in California between the Black and Latino community, but even with that being said, it's just personally, I don't think that anybody should live in fear. The idea that your kids can't go out to play, or your kids can't go to school, or your kids, or mom might leave home and next thing you know she's gone, or dad might leave home, next thing you know he's been rounded up, he's gone. he mom runs out to get coffee, or dad goes to Home Depot, and next thing you know, he's gone. And so even if he's legal, a lot of times what I've been hearing, they might still detain him, 30 days, 45 days, 60 days detaining people. You know what I mean? And so by the time you clear that and prove that you are legal, or what kind of job is still going to be there after you've been in a detention center for 60 days? You know what I mean? So people are having to deal with this and then come out and rebuild their lives all over again. You know what I mean? So your bills don't wait. Mortgage don't wait. Car notes don't wait. You did in a detention center 60 days. So that's another thing. So no society, no people should have to live in fear.
Correct. So our next topic is the elimination of civil rights law. Now, in Project 2025, I put my glasses on here. In Project 25, there is a term or phrase called disparate impact liability. So that means when neutral policies disproportionately harm protected groups, even without discriminatory intent, then the U.S. Supreme Court recognized it in Greggs versus Duke Power Company, 1971, and it became a key tool for addressing systemic inequities in hiring, housing, and education. However, your president signed an executive order directing federal agencies to step back from enforcing this standard. Now, unless discrimination is clearly intentional, in other words, they have to just straight up call you the N-word. They have to straight up show that they are purposely discriminating against you, then it can't be proven. And if it can't be proven, technically it did not happen. So now we're in a quadrum now as a community, a black community. What do we do to protect ourselves? And what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, yeah, and again, they do step by step this erosion of civil rights, which is what they've always been after. And we've seen this roll back slowly but surely. We've seen it when they took control of the courts, right? And the courts allowed certain states like Mississippi and Alabama that they ruled it ended a lot of civil rights protections in those states. They ended government overwatch of a lot of those states and a lot of programs in those states. So it's been a Republican dream for decades, you know what I mean, since these rights were enacted. And so it's just a continuation of the rollback and the assault on civil rights, on, just to be honest, everything black. You know what I'm saying? Just the civil rights, the DEI, the fair housing, just it's a complete rollback.
Well, now if you look at the case of Target and how they pulled back from DEI, how we were able to fight against it was taking our dollars elsewhere. Lowe's could be in trouble in that a delivery person was going to some woman's house, white woman's house, and she called Lowe's, said she didn't want no black man at her house, in her house. And so instead of giving back her money, they had him return back to the facilities, and they sent somebody else out.
Oh, they crazy.
And so Lowe's, you're tiptoeing because we already have an issue with Home Depot, but I don't, but we had hope in you that you wouldn't do something like that. But in other words, discriminatory practices. And so my initial question was, what can we do to mitigate this? So one would be data collection and storytelling. Now, what I mean by that is you're going to have to start documenting and keeping all kind of data if you believe discriminatory practices occur in your organization. You're going to have to collect the stories of individuals who felt the same way. Because the more information you have, even though, again, they don't have to call you the N-word, but they can do some lowball discriminatory practices to where did they or didn't they? And so you're going to have to maintain that type of information. The other thing is elections. These executive orders that Trump is signing can be reversed if a different president was in office. So we're going to have to really think about who we vote for, and how are they in terms of the good of the community.
Right. And this time, I mean, look, I hope the Latino community gets on board with this next election. And I know we voted over 97% for Harris. And so in these midterms, we definitely need to show up in force. And I hope we can there's a broad enough coalition that forms that we can take back the House and the Senate, and we can end this reign of terror. And I keep seeing white women are like Lucy with the football, right? So every election cycle, they hold out the football like they're gonna join us, and then every time the election comes, they yank the football, we kick it, and we end up on our back. I hope this time they actually understand that a lot of the civil rights protections and a lot of the civil rights erosions are not just affecting minorities, but they're also affecting gender. And so this time I hope they don't yank the football and they actually vote the way they say they're going to vote. They are in a position where they keep choosing white patriarchy over their own gender
community.
Yeah, over their own gender dynamics and So again, we need to build a broad enough coalition for this midterm.
Yeah, and so a couple other things, if you have the money, or you can get, quid pro quo, not quid pro quo, but pro bono, is the political private litigation. You can sue. And then finally, again, as we did to Target, as we're getting ready to do to Dollar Tree, what could happen to Lowe's is the public pressure and coalition building. So we're living in dangerous times, and these civil rights that our ancestors, our foreparents, our forefathers fought for, they're slowly dissolving. So we're going to have the fortitude to really think about how we're going to protect ourselves, not only for ourselves, but for our kids and their kids.
I keep going back to this quote I keep seeing that says, "Dear Americans, whatever you wish the Germans would have done in 1933, do that now." So we're there.
Now, this next topic, hot topic number 3, the eliminating or the attempt to eliminate Job Corps. That hurts. That really hurts. Not that I participated in Job Corps, but I know a whole lot of people who had participated in Job Corps, and there's a lot of benefits to getting a job with Job Corps. A lot of these young adults who get hired by Job Corps, they have a job, they have a place to stay, they're receiving money. They're building on skills to help prepare them for the workforce or even higher education. And so when your president again attempted to withdraw funding for this program, it's going to hurt these kids. A lot of these kids are from the inner city. So your thoughts?
Again, it's an assault. It's a surprising assault. So I knew that we all are widely aware of their assault on higher education, right? And we know that MAGA disdains the college education. I am surprised that they launched this assault on Job Corps, which is mostly, your industrial skills. A lot of it is like your labor jobs, and there's enormous need for air conditioning and machinists. There's enormous need for trade skills, automotive mechanics, even registered. I mean, or like your nursing skills. You know what I mean? Phlebotomists and lab techs and all these skills that these kids go to Job Corps and learn. And so all of these are essential functions, to society. whether it's even the truck driving schools that you can go to Job Corps and get that skill, pick up that skill. But it's I'm surprised that these are blue collar jobs, electricians, plumbers, mechanics, and that they've launched an assault. And I'm surprised. I wonder, where do the unions stand on it, or Middle America? You know, your blue collar states like Pennsylvania, which he won.
So this is going to my dark side. A lot of the kids who are probably, and I haven't seen the stats, okay, but a lot of the young persons participating in Job Corps are probably from marginalized communities. Yes, you do have some white kids involved in it, but a lot of those kids are Hispanic and Black. And I'm thinking that someone said, a white woman said on TikTok, that if these jobs were all being filled by white kids, elimination would be not even considered. But because of these of Hispanic kids, white kids, possibly Asian kids participating in the programs, Native American kids, then no, we're just going to cut the program off. So not only are young people of color being affected, the white young adults who were participating in the program are also being hurt. So it raises the question, what are the consequences? What are the implications from these jobs being cut? And I couldn't help but think this is another pipeline to prison. Because if you don't have a job, if you're sitting around trying to figure how to make ends meet, then you may slip into that realm of thinking to where I'll just go steal from Caleb Alexander's house.
No, I'm sure there are a lot of kids from urban communities, but I'm also sure that a lot of kids from rural communities, Appalachian communities, a lot of them from the Rust Belt, you know, that see Job Corps as a way out to learn to gain valuable skills. And so I'm definitely interested in seeing the numbers, but I'm quite sure that a lot of rural white kids see Job Corps as a way out. As a way out. And so, but we know this time and time again, they will cut off their nose to despite their face. They will end a program if they think that we are benefiting from it. They'll end a program for their own folks just to keep us from benefiting from it. So we already know how that works.
We already have a homeless problem. So we may see more homelessness. We, of course, loss of educational, loss of access to career pathways. That's another issue. Now, I'm trying to think, was it Morris Brown? One of the HBCUs in Atlanta said, hey, Job Corps folks, come here.
Right.
We'll help you with your learning, with your education pathways. So I was really glad to see them say, come here. And again, was it Morris Brown?
I did see that. I forgot which university it was, but
it was one of the HBCU in Atlanta. Right. So this may be another way for the HBCUs to boost their enrollment, bring these kids in to where they may get their associate's degree, but they move into getting a bachelor's later on. So kudos to that particular university who saw a need and is trying to address it.
Right. A lot of our universities, even like our agricultural and mechanical universities, Florida A&M, Tuskegee, Prairie View A&M. So I mean, a lot of it, there's an opportunity to return to their core values, core mission, and roots. You know what I mean? Teaching agricultural and mechanical education.
Right.
And so, yeah, I mean, I think they should widen it. There are a lot of community colleges out there that do a fantastic job. And I think that they need to widen their reach and make up for this, the potential loss or future potential loss of Job Corps. I know Alamo Colleges does a fantastic job. They have the West Side Education Training Center, East Side Education Training Center. So a lot of those, they provide same sort of skill sets that you will find in Job Corps. They teach welding, they teach automotive, they teach a lot of those programs, HVAC. So yeah, I hope that they get the word out and make a sincere and broad outreach to the community and let them know that, yeah, maybe Job Corps might be out the limits, but our community colleges are available, and you can go to community college and get grants and loans, and there's community college is free. You know what I mean? It at this point in time, it is basically free. You can also get certifications online. So I mean, yeah, it's just making it an awareness that these programs are out there, and making sure that these colleges and universities reach out to these kids.
Yeah, as I've always said, there's always another way to get to Walmart.
There it
And
is.
so, you can't go down the highway, go to the backyard, however way you need to get to where you need to be. All right, so June, what day was it? June 9th. We lost a musical icon, Sly Stone. Favorite song?
Yeah.
You didn't like him?
Yeah.
Oh. I did not expect this.
You didn't expect that?
No. Well, my favorite song is Stand.
Stand. Okay.
Because I'm a little older than you too. But anyway, I remember Stand when my family was stationed in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And it was during that time of civil rights movement. And you start listening to the word stand, do right from wrong. So on my Facebook page, I did dedicate that song to all the protesters, because you need to know right from wrong. Mm-hmm. And he was an icon in the civil rights era. He had those songs to where he was around during that period where Sly and the Family Stone, The Fifth Dimension, all those type of songs were going on to where it was a musical protest. Mm-hmm. And so I enjoyed him. Everyday People was another song. So he did a good job. Mm-hmm. I like the name Family Stone. That was an interesting name. But he did what he had to do. And he deserves his kudos.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and then we lost Ananda Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, a giant that we lost is
MTV.
Yeah. So Ananda. Yeah. So, but another just a intellectual giant that I have to mention. So, he's a Kenyan philosopher lecturer named Ngugi wa Thiong'o, who was an intellectual giant who talked about African agency. He talked about his main thing is why do we write literature in English? Why can't we tell our stories in our own language? And so he was transformative. And so I definitely want to just mention that we did lose him last week. A giant, an intellectual giant who was the father of the reclamation of African agency and linguistics and telling our stories our way. So okay. I have to mention him.
So we're trying to wrap it up. We've got the Pope simulcasting to Chicago today. This is National Obama Appreciation Day. As you can see, my buddy has his tan suit on. He didn't know. I asked him, you're celebrating Obama?
It was subconscious. It was subconscious.
Yeah. The veterans are protesting today as well. Mm-hmm. Everybody's protesting against the inhumane treatment of citizens of this country, whether you're a documented citizen or undocumented citizen. So I say stand, do what's right, and do it peacefully.
Be safe.
Be safe, yeah.
Be safe. That idiot sheriff in Florida talking about if you throw a single rock, will kill you and tell your family where to pick up your body. He's an idiot. And you have plenty of idiots out there that are like that.
Well, Florida, DeSantis talking about you can run over folks. Just
be careful. Be safe. Be careful. Make your voice known. Make it home to your family. You know what I mean?
San Antonio, you know why the governor has sent in National Guard. So you already know, we don't have to go into detail, but you already know why the National Guard is being sent to San Antonio. So again, you guys be safe, dance in the street if you want to, but we want you to be safe. And with that being said, before we leave, we want to thank Carl Booker, who is our producer of the show. And we also want to thank those who are listening in. And with that being said, this is Contemporary Black Voices, where we're telling our story our way.